business phone where only business takes place.
That's good because we're recording right now.
I've got my personal one. I don't care if we're recording.
Hey, this is Mackie. We're back with another episode of the Hidden Threads podcast, and you kind of caught us off script there. We were discussing Juice's multiple phones.
Yes.
I call we
Not
got
really multiple, just two.
Well, one phone's mine.
Well, yeah, that's the business phone.
And the other one's your drug dealer phone, right?
Exactly.
You selling what?
Tasty cakes and stuff.
Amino acids and stuff, or what?
That's healthy. I don't want that.
You don't want healthy stuff. All right. So today we got some good stuff. We're going to get into our backgrounds a little bit. We covered my background a lot, so we're going to be getting more into Juice's.
It's not really much of a background.
If you hear me say Juice and Anthony or Majusiak, it's all the same thing.
Correct.
Can I just call you Anthony Juice Majusiak?
I would prefer you didn't.
AJ.
You're the boss.
AJM.
Yeah, you're the boss. You do what you feel.
I prefer Juice because I don't speak Polak.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, that's not very nice what I said to you.
Well, it's okay. Yakushamash?
Yeah. Anyways, so we'll get into how we both first got into private investigation. To start with you, I know a little bit about your background. Well, I know a lot about it.
Yeah.
I know you're in the Marines and you did a little National Guard time. Yep. But then you got out. Did you go straight into law enforcement or what did you do right when you quit with the military?
So when I got off active duty, I went to learn how to wrench on motorcycles.
Okay. That sounds fun.
And then I worked in machine shops for a while, moved around a little bit more, and wound up in South Carolina. And somebody said, "Hey, you want to go get a job at the prison?"
Oh, yeah.
So that's where it started. They kind of not bullied, but they said, "Oh, you're too small. You couldn't work at the prison."
Really?
Yeah.
So Juice is vertically challenged.
I am.
But he makes up for it with heart, though.
If I had a heart, yeah.
Get a black heart. How about that? So at the prison system, was that in South Carolina?
Yeah, I did it in South Carolina and Florida.
Or was that state or federal?
State.
Now, when you're in there, you had to deal with a lot of gangs, right?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
What's the main one that you dealt with, and what was your experience dealing with that gang?
So it all depends on your geographical location.
Mm-hmm.
In South Carolina, they have different gangs than they would in Florida for your main gangs on the compound, but your gangs, they're pretty much the same. They're just, preying on the weak that come into prison,
mm-hmm.
and they make victims out of everybody they can. So
right.
The gangs still operate the same way. There's drug trading in prisons. There's territory in prisons.
Really?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
What was the main gangs you dealt with?
Nazi lowriders.
Let's do South Carolina first. What was
South Carolina?
Mm-hmm.
You had Charleston DBL, which is the main one. You still had Black Gangster Disciples. You had Latin Kings. You still have all the big ones, and then you have smaller subsets off each one.
Right. Now, when you're dealing with these guys, did you have women in that one?
No,
it's strictly male. I don't know if some of them male. I know they have. You'll have a big prison. One side's male, one side's female, and they don't ever interact.
No, this was a all male facility, and it housed death row inmates.
Did you have female guards?
Yes.
What's your situation? How'd that work out for you?
A lot of the times it worked out good. Some of the times it worked out very bad.
The inmates would give them a little bit too much attention sometimes, right?
And they would eat it up. And next thing you know, they were bringing in contraband and everything else, and giving the inmates intel on operations inside the facilities.
How y'all did stuff.
Yeah.
Now back to the gangs, though. You said the Charleston DBAs. What does that stand for?
Charleston DBL is down by law. It's
down by
one
law.
of their prevalent gangs in the area.
Is that motorcycle or is it just drugs?
Nope. That's it's a African American gang.
Oh, okay. All right.
That's in the area.
So they're mainly drugs, right?
Yes.
All right.
Drugs and prostitution.
Okay. Now, when you were working with these guys, or you kind of worked with the inmates, right? To make life easier, right?
Yeah.
If you just went in with a heavy hand and said, "My way or the highway," like in the old days, they would turn on you, right?
Yeah. They would make your day miserable. But the thing is, even though they're inmates, they're in these facilities, they're still people. And if you treat them with respect, they'll treat you with respect back. But if you just go in and you just try and make their day hard, you're not going to last long.
Okay.
You're going to be miserable.
Okay.
But if you go in there and you're hard and strict when you need to be, they'll respect you.
Right. Now, did you ever get into investigations in that role?
Everybody in that gets in law enforcement, whether it's behind the wall or on the road, everybody does investigations on a daily basis. Right. There's so much stuff going on behind the walls that you have to wear a lot of different hats.
So you're always gathering intel, right? Always listening.
Always.
Now, do you have guards that were not in tune with that and just kind of showed up and did their 12 hours and left and didn't? They just kind of did the minimum, I guess you'd say.
Yeah, the officers would come in, they'd do their 8 or 12, and then they'd hit the gate. And their dorms or their cell blocks were usually where the most problems occurred.
Chaos was in there.
Oh, yeah.
Right. They didn't police, right?
No. They stayed at the officer station. They never left. They never walked around, talked to the inmates. They never went in the cells or anything in any of the wings.
They didn't build rapport.
No.
None of that stuff. So you can build rapport with them because they're humans, right?
Exactly.
They've done some evil stuff, but
yeah, they're not, I want to say they're not all bad people, but they all have done something bad.
Right. But they're still human beings with a soul, all those things somewhere in there.
Somewhere.
Did you ever have to work the death row side of the house?
I actually helped build death row at the prison.
Did you lay the blocks?
No, it was another wing, and I was tasked with taking an inmate work crew over with welders and torches and all kind of tools, and actually put chain link fence and railing up and build death row at that facility in South Carolina.
Did you do security in there when they got it going?
Yes.
Okay. So we've got a death row case going on. The guy's actually in Florida. It's been going on for 5 years. They don't ever end, right?
Yeah.
I've only been on the phone with him, never met him in person. He described death row down there as pretty chill, actually.
It is.
You just kind of hang out and watch TV, and they played chess, and you're not locked in your cell, but you never leave the death row wing. You know what I mean?
Well, that's over at FSP. In South Carolina, it's a little bit different.
Okay. He said some of them are on lockdown because they're dangerous. Right. But if you've proven it, hey, I'm not going to hurt anybody, they'll let you get some freedom and go out and play chess. And
South Carolina wasn't like that.
Right. But you never leave the death row side of the house.
No.
Right? The little
you're locked down. In South Carolina, you're locked down 23 hours a day. If you're on the row, you're down 23 hours a day. And each of you get escorted out by multiple officers to it's a dog run out in the yard, and you get an hour out every day.
That's where you do your PT, get some sunlight or whatever.
Yeah.
Now they have been on lockdown, he said before, where they do 24 hours.
Oh, yeah.
Where somebody screwed it up.
Oh, yeah.
And not.
They go right into closed movement.
They assaulted an officer or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Or assaulted another prison inmate or whatever. Now, when you were there, though, you did some death row stuff, which they're behind the bars most of the time, right?
Right.
Now, you did general population too, right?
Yeah, I was out on general pop.
Now, they have a little more freedom of the building, right?
They have freedom of everything. They can come and go. They're all over the yard, the rec field. Their dorms or their wings are wide open. They can walk in and out of their rooms.
I've dealt with some inmates down at Donaldson, down around Birmingham. That's a gigantic prison here in Alabama, by the way.
Right.
And they have it set up like when you walk in, you go through security and they check you, make sure you don't have what you're not supposed to have as a guest, right? You immediately see inmates walking around. They're cutting grass, painting, delivering mail. You know, they're the ones. The guy I've been dealing with down there, he's one of those. He's a custodian. He's the sweeper. He sweeps the floors and mops. That's all he does all day. He loves it because he gets some freedom of the building. But that's only reserved for classy inmates. I call them the ones that aren't causing trouble. Right.
Yeah. Those are your trustees.
And you can tell with the guards down there, they call him, they have conversations like humans, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Hey, what's going on today? That kind of stuff. And I did get escorted back once to what they call the blue facility, where it's locked down, where it's violent criminals.
Right.
And it was different in there. Super quiet. There's nobody moving around except for guards. Nobody's doing anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You might see a person sweeping the floor, but everybody's behind the bars, man, reading, doing whatever. They're not doing too much. You know what I mean?
It's not the same in every facility,
right?
Though.
Right. Depends on the warden too. The warden can have different policy and how they police. Now, when you're doing this, we're sticking on corrections a little bit here. Is that all right with you?
Yeah. Yeah.
I think corrections gets a bad rap in the United States because of movies, just like private investigators get a bad rap because of movies.
They get a bad rap from fellow law enforcement.
Right. Which you probably police more in corrections than your average street cop does. What I'm talking, you're dealing with criminals every day.
So I like to tell everybody, as a corrections officer, in your first hour on the compound, you deal with more convicted felons and violent felons than you will in a 20-year career in law enforcement on the street. And people kind of tend to not lump corrections and road officers in the same category, but it's tougher being a CO than it is being a patrol officer.
Right. Okay. Now patrol, they have their role, right?
They do.
They're out with a community where you're dealing with people that have committed crimes, but they're not locked up yet. And you're just dealing with the general population, getting information from them, right?
Absolutely.
How much was the rapport building inside the facility? How critical is that in cracking crimes inside the walls?
It's probably the biggest part. If you're what they call a new cock, new fish, new officer, those inmates aren't going to talk to you because they don't know you. You don't have that rapport, but your actions speak louder than your words. So if you tell them something and you mean it and stick to it, they'll respect you for it, whether it makes them mad or not. If you're 100% truthful with them on everything and you say what you're going to do and you do it, you build a huge rapport with the inmates that way. If you lie to them one time, though, that rapport's gone. You'll never get it. Yeah.
They just clam up and go through their day.
You'll never get anything from them.
Now, did they ever have any crimes out on the streets where they came to y'all and said, hey, we think Joe in jail here has some info?
They have.
Instead of the direct approach where they come in and put inmate Joe in a little room and start interrogating him, they use y'all to get some intel, right?
Yeah.
That's interesting. I like that idea better than the TV version where they lock them in and start banging their fists on the table.
Yeah, that ain't going to happen. The inmates just sit there and laugh at you and you're done.
Makes for good TV though, right?
Yeah, I guess. I don't watch cop shows anymore.
Really?
I can't stand them.
I don't much either. I watch the Datelines a little bit with my wife. They always get caught on there, by the way.
Yeah.
So
they don't always get caught, but on that show they
do
caught.
On that one. Yeah. Maybe 20 years later, but they get busted eventually.
Yeah.
So
I try not to watch any of that. It frustrates me.
It does me too. Sometimes the approach of how they go about dealing with people frustrates me. I'm more the low key approach. Hey, let's talk like humans instead of interrogating and dragging people down the road.
And most of the time, that's the way I was. I was very low key. I was very approachable, whether it was in house or on the road. But there was a time I can go in there and I could be that guy that you don't want coming in there.
The bad cop.
So. But they knew it was coming.
Right.
And they still respected that.
Right. Yeah. As Mama used to say, you get more flies with honey, right?
You do.
Yeah. So, all right, we're going to take a break here. Everybody gets to hear a commercial. We got to sell stuff, man. But all right, we're going to take a break. We'll be right back talking more about this. Yep, safe online dating. It's a big deal. So maybe you met the person of your dreams on Tinder or one of the other platforms, and you're getting ready to meet up with them in person. Or maybe you've been in a long-distance online relationship with them. You just want to know who they are. Well, we have a tool called TLOXP. It's only available to federal agents, police forces, and private investigators. Hey, that's me. And we can tell you about their bankruptcies, judgments, evictions, divorces, arrest record, important things you need to know before spending any more time with this person. All right, get to know who they are and confront them with it, or just break up with them, whatever your choice is. But you have to call us or fill out the information on the link below. You're going to hear from a real private investigator that's going to go over this data with you, go over the pricing options with you, and get the information you need to be safe online. Don't wait any longer. Click the link or give us a call to get started. The number is 866-910-7499. Again, 866-910-7499, or click the link. Hope to talk to you soon.
Know why I like you.
All right, we're back. And Juice was just saying in the break, he don't know why he likes me.
I don't. I really don't.
I was calling him old in the break. He's only 65. How old are you?
50 something.
50. I'm 50 something too, on the lower end of that.
But I don't like giving my age out.
You did bring me a gift today.
I did.
Death from Afar.
And that's a signed copy.
The history of Marine sniping. I was a Marine sniper, Juice. Do you know that?
Yes, I did know.
Juice went through one of my sniper courses I used to do.
I did.
Was it pretty good?
Yeah, it was actually a very good course. I enjoyed it.
More of a short urban type thing. We did a little bit of rural.
Yeah.
We don't have, there's not many 1,000-yard ranges around here.
No.
But we did some field craft and those kind of things.
Yeah, it was a good basics course.
Yeah. So back to our topic here, we got into your corrections, which is, I like talking. I love stories about jail and prison. And
I love corrections more than I love policing on the road.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
It's tougher in there. It's more of a challenge in there than it is on the road, believe it or not.
Right.
And you're going to have cops start texting you and sending you stuff going, oh, no, it's not. Oh, right. Yes, it is.
Right. I think you can be more proactive in the jail than you can out in the streets is more reactive.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And you can still find out what's going on in the streets by listening to inmates.
Right.
Whether it's county or state inmates, you still find out things that are going on in the streets that normal everyday patrol officers don't find out.
Right. Also, you were in NASA SWAT for a little while. That's where I met you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we did some training where you guys were the quick reaction force.
Right.
Basically. What did you guys call yourself?
It was SRT.
Special Response Team.
Yes.
Okay. So I'm from the Marines and State Department, and I'll always call it Quick Reaction Force. Is that okay?
Yeah,
QRF.
that's fine. QRF is what I call it.
Right. But yeah, it's more tactical. It's more specific than a QRF would be, though.
Right.
But you guys had to deal with a little bit of everything. You had to deal with Judy fell down the stairs, and you got to help her get up and those kind of things. You deal with some of that. Yeah.
But there's also things like, I hate to say it, pedophiles you have to deal with. There's been
pedophiles at NASA.
Suicides, deaths.
Pedophiles at NASA, huh?
Yes.
Okay. Would the intel come up and say, hey, this guy's a pedophile, go get him out and escort him out of the premises type thing? Or
so he got caught by IT looking at porn on his work laptop.
Really?
Oh, yeah. And it went from there.
Looking at porn on a NASA work laptop.
At work.
In the building.
On the clock.
I mean, I know there's multiple buildings there, but on the premises. How about that?
We'll call it the quad.
The quad. I've been out there before.
What used to be the quad.
It's pretty impressive.
Yes.
It is impressive. There's a lot of money flows in there. So there
is.
I think they had I don't know, maybe Elon Musk money's coming back. Who knows?
Kennedy Space Center is pretty nice too. That's huge.
Florida,
that's
down
Florida,
there.
Yeah.
That's where you started with them, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, so information gathering, surveillance. I'm not talking about the type of surveillance where we're sitting in our car running a camera, which happens. We do it. I'm talking about just listening to what's going on around you. That's where that's where a background like this plays into private investigation work. And I got that from my background. Hey, we're just going to go build rapport and listen to people, and we'll learn. We can crack a case wide open just from hanging out listening to people.
Oh yeah,
can't you? I don't care if it's an adultery case, custody case, criminal, whatever. What do you think about that? Just building rapport and listening to people. Do you think it works?
Absolutely, 100%.
Sometimes it's easier that way, in my opinion.
Yeah, it breaks down the wall where they'll open up to you, and sometimes you'll hear something. You say, "Oh, did you hear about this or that?" And then it turns into a huge evidence gathering.
Yeah, and we do it on Facebook as well. That's the what we call the city square, town square, right? People chat on there all the time.
Yep.
Fortunately for us, we got some software that help us aggregate. That's a big word, Juice.
Ooh,
aggregate.
I like that.
Pull all that information together in one spot for us.
I like that.
And we can take a look, but and we can search it. You might get 3 million pages of data, and you can use search terms and search it.
Right.
That's what the NSA, you name it. That's what they're doing. Yeah. They're collecting these transcripts of phone calls, web conversations, you name it. And they just search it.
Brother?
They search it. They're not, everybody's sitting there, they're reading my conversations. Not really. They don't have time, computer maybe, but the human is just searching it. They're going to, some critical search terms come up and they take a look and they go, oh, we got pedophile guy over here or terrorist jihadi over here, right?
Right.
So,
right.
and they go get the feds and they go take a look at this person. That's how it goes. A lot of people think that there's some guy in a basement or in a dungeon reading your text messages. Not really. The computers are. The software is, but the humans are just searching. They're not reading every word. Right?
Yeah, but the computers are going so fast with it. Yeah. There's no way some little guy in an office could do that.
Yeah, so they're making it where the little guy in the office can read it, basically, is what they're doing. So, and then the agents or the police, they take this information and go verify it, right? What's her name? We had some stuff. Let's talk more about how this translates. So, in my experience with the Alabama Private Investigations Association and board and stuff, I'm going to get hate for this, but when I first started, you just had to say, hey, I want to be a PI. Take the test. You study for the test, and you got it. As long as you passed the background, all right, you could get your PI license. There was no prerequisite.
It used to be you didn't even have to take a test. You just open a business.
Yeah, that was like 2011. I think they started that. You had to have a license. Now it's got more strict, which I'm kind of happy about. It brings a level of professionalism to it. But when I first started this in Alabama, I just went and studied, took a test, passed a background investigation. I was good. And I got on Google My Business and said, hey, I'm in business. That's all you had to do. And we had a range of people saying they were a PI. We had people who just said, I'm a PI today. All right. They might have been Johnny the welder up the street. Some of those people are excellent PIs, by the way. But a lot of them were goofy, had no low-level professionalism. You ever seen those before?
Yeah, a lot.
Now, Florida, they had a higher level when you started down there, right?
No, believe it or not, in Florida, because of my law enforcement background, I just had to apply, but you had to be sponsored by an agency.
Like we do now in Alabama.
Right. So back then, when I started doing PI work, you just had to put your credentials in from law enforcement and stuff and apply and be sponsored by an agency, and you got your PI license.
Right. Now we got the sponsorship program in Alabama. Right. Where if you don't have a certain amount of background, you have to get a sponsor like me or you can sponsor people. Right. And they apprentice under you. And I think that's going to raise the professionalism.
I think it's a huge win for this profession.
Right. Yeah, we look goofy sitting here today, but we got a backgrounds that says, hey, if you give us some money, we're going to work this and be diligent, and we're going to follow the scientific method of assumptions, test it with tools, and then spits out facts on the other end or no facts. Right.
It's not a just wing it, fly by the seat of your pants kind of thing. There's methodology behind all of what we do.
Now, if you've done business with us before, you may look and say they are flying by the seat of their pants sometimes. But when we get into that testing part of the method where you come to us and we come up with our own assumptions and we test it either through surveillance, digital tools, interviews, you name it. We're testing these assumptions, right, to see if they're fact. And believe it or not, me and Juice, we were average students in school and stuff, right?
Very average.
We use scientific method in our thought process during the day.
Right.
We only report facts, right?
Correct.
So if it's an assumption and we were not able to, through testing, surveillance, digital tools, or interviews, then, and it was still not a fact at the end, we cannot prove it a fact. We're going to say it in there. Hey, this is still an assumption. Right. We can't say it's a fact. But when it does prove a fact, we do report it. And we say, look, facts, whatever it is. It could be a variety of things, right? Right. So what are your thoughts on that, Juice, for people that just kind of wing it and don't have any methodology behind their process?
Yeah, I don't think they last long. I don't think their cases are as put together. It shows their experience level, show their professionalism shows just through their daily operations. But when you look at some of the reports I've seen, they're not even close. Right. And they put opinions and assumptions, and I try and tell everybody it's, you're working on a hypothesis and you're either going to prove or disprove it, but everything in there has to be factual. It can't be based on anything other than facts.
Now you can put opinions in a report, but you got to say, hey, this is an opinion, right?
You're not going to say, oh, this is fact.
Right. Especially we get into the digital side. A lot of that is opinions based off some processes we went through.
Well, there's a lot of circumstantial evidence that's going to go with that.
Especially in
opinion.
Digital. Yeah.
So it's either going to be a strong opinion because of all these circumstantial evidential points that I'm showing you,
right,
or it's not going to work out.
Right.
It's not worth anything to mention.
Yeah. Now, if it is provable fact, we say it. Hey, this is a fact. Look at this. This person is an alcoholic or a drug addict based off their garbage.
Right.
We pulled
the 400 bottles of vodka that are laying in there every week
that we collected from a week. So that's an easy one, right? That's fact. But if it's an opinion where we might have seen them, let's just talk about the drinker, by the way. We saw them out drinking at a bar and they had 5 drinks, one night, but they didn't drink. We haven't seen them out drinking for 6 weeks. We cannot say, hey, they're an alcoholic.
No.
Now the client may say, oh, they're an alcoholic. That's a biased opinion, right?
Very biased. Yeah.
So a 6-foot guy drinking 5 drinks once a month is not a problem in my book. Now, if he had, we've seen this before. If he had kids sitting there with him, that's a problem.
Right. Or if he drinks those 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 12 beers in an hour.
Yeah.
That may be a clue.
Yeah.
FBI calls it a clue.
A clue. Yeah. Clue. And then based off other evidence we gather, we may say this guy has a problem, shouldn't be drinking around kids or whatever we're trying to prove. We're just doing some hypotheticals here.
Right.
Now, the problem I see so our background does lend to the fact that we're not going to report bull crap to you.
Correct.
I get in trouble a lot because I don't report bull crap. The clients get mad at me because I'm like, hey, I know he's addicted to porn. I'm like, based off what we're seeing, he's not. Right. And they get mad at me. Well, you're not a good investigator. Okay.
Okay. But the proof is right here. You looked at the laptop, you looked at the phone.
Yeah.
There's nothing there.
Right.
There's nothing to support his or her claim that the subject is actually addicted to it.
Based off what the information we have right now. And they get mad at me about it.
It's not what you know, it's what you can prove.
Does that make me a bad investigator, Juice, or
makes you an honest investigator?
Right. We can't report fake stuff. Right?
No.
That's what we call manufacturing evidence. A lot of police officers are in jail now for manufacturing evidence. Some of them are not in jail, but some of them.
Good place for them.
Right. You get in trouble for that. And it puts how am I going to place this? It puts bad evidence in the courts, and it may get construed as reality and get somebody in trouble that shouldn't be in trouble.
Correct. And I've seen that happen before too.
Right. There's some people in jail that shouldn't be there because of manufactured evidence. And we just can't do it. Based off my background and your background, we cannot manufacture evidence because it causes problems in the long run. In reporting in the military background, if you report fake evidence, people's going to get killed.
Yes.
If you, in the police background, if you report fake evidence, the wrong person could go to jail, or you could get caught and go to jail yourself. So
now, dirty cops should be in jail.
Right.
But there's also times where that fake evidence could get you killed on the road.
Yeah. Get you killed or as a correction officer.
Oh,
get you
absolutely.
Shanked, right?
Absolutely.
Get you killed there. And you could get killed out on the streets from the criminal powers that be, right?
Exactly. Because they can make that call.
Your big, what they call it, green lighting you?
Yep.
Is that still a phrase?
Oh, yeah.
I thought it was just TV.
Yeah, no.
That's real?
All right. Yeah.
All right. That's just a little bit today about how our backgrounds kind of feed into the private investigation world. And hopefully it helps when you're making your decisions and hiring people or looking to get into this field. But we'll be back for some more episodes soon. Talk to you later.